esteemed guests on the dais, as well as all the participants. It gives me immense pleasure to be here amidst you. And I thank you all for giving me this honor of inaugurating this conference. I think it's a very important event in the history of GIO, and I hope the large number of women who are participating in this conference will benefit immensely from it. Getting involved in issues of culture, tradition, as well as politics, current events, etc. is very important for all of us, because we are going through a time where Islam is getting a lot of negative publicity. So it is important to affirm and say where women have made progress within Islam and how the Islamic tradition has promoted women's rights. So in this history, I think this event will be marked as a very important landmark. And I hope what is started through this conference will proceed further into academics, into generating knowledge, and into projecting the place of Islam, women in Islam, to the general society at large. With these few words, I declare this conference open. The issue that we are facing today, and how many of you are aware where we are politically and how we need to proceed further. I feel that not enough attention has been given to the issue of women's status, with the result, the research made by a few women on a small study today has become magnified and shown in the national press as the situation of Muslim women in general. This got a long history, and consistently the issue of uniform civil code has been raised time and again as a political issue against Islam, against Muslims. When we are confronted with this negative image, it is important to question what is our role, where we are as women, and where the entire Muslim society has made place for the rights of women. If we really see the judicial development, I think Kerala has made very important strides. Kerala High Court has given very important judgments, very landmark judgments for Muslim women's rights. Not now, for last 30, 40 years, if you look at Kerala's court history, you will find a very important place occupied by Muslim women who are asserting themselves, who are asking for their rights. But when these positive judgments come, they are very seldom publicized. What gets publicized in the media is very sensational, negative images about Muslims, and individual aberrations are projected as flaws of Islam, that Islam permits this. Okay, let's take child marriage. Child marriage is there in Indian society amongst all religious communities. It is not so much religion, it is the backwardness, it is poverty, it is lack of educational facilities that makes parents marry their daughters young. And yet, we project this as a problem with Islam, that Islam permits child marriage, which is not really true. Because in Islam, consent is a very important element. Child marriage, in fact, is an issue among Hindus, and it always was an issue for Hindus. Recently, we got statistics where they said 12 million girls are married in India before the age of 10. Out of these, 84% are Hindus. 14% are Muslims. So do we see, is it a problem of the law? Because we have enough acts. We have Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929. We have Child Marriage Prohibition Act of 2006. We have Hindu Marriage Act, which defines 18 as the age for marriage for girls. And yet this happens. So we have to question what are the socio-economic factors where this happens rather than pin it on a particular religion. And we cannot then take it up saying if we have a change in Islamic law, then child marriage within Islam will stop. Because if you have a comparative, in a similar way, child marriage for Muslims, Hindus has not stopped because of the law. What we need is education, opportunities of education, opportunities for skill development to keep the young children in academic educational institutions. We need measures to counter poverty, where the parents do not have to marry their daughters young. Unless we look at socio-economic factors, the law alone cannot bring social transformation. And we have neglected this area. Government after government has neglected this area. If you see in Rajasthan, there is one marriage that happens and all the girls in the family are married at the same time. Whether they are 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 14 years, all are married. Because they cannot afford to have another marriage and cannot afford to spend more money. Now we have not looked at those factors. And these are issues affecting all communities, not just Muslims. Let's take dowry. Now we have so many issues with dowry, so much violence connected with dowry. We also have a law for dowry, and yet the problem has not been solved. It is there across communities. We cannot say Muslims do not have dowry. We cannot say Hindus have stopped dowry because there is law. It is rooted in the culture. It is rooted in the tradition. And though under Islam we have meher as very important ingredient of marriage, yet the dowry is more than the meher. And the girls' families give dowry, and there's nothing Islamic about dowry. It is not the Quran which says give dowry for your daughter. What the Quran says is that you have to give meher as a future security for the girls. But we do not have this. So whose responsibility is it to bring in this kind of social transformation? I think the community has to work a great deal of education of girls, of combating poverty, exposing the girls to the current scenario, to what is happening, exposing the girls about the rights of marriage. Now the same study which was done, which is now before the Supreme Court, which is about 4,700 women, then 53% were victims of domestic violence, which indicates that domestic violence is a major problem within these communities that were surveyed. But we have a law to deal with domestic violence. But there is a general perception that domestic violence law is not applicable to Muslims. Muslims cannot access it. And even that study did not mention what Muslim women are doing when there is domestic violence. Where do they go? How do they solve their problem? How does domestic violence stop? I'm not saying it is dowry related, but there is domestic violence. So my question is, if such a large percentage of Muslim women face domestic violence, what is the remedy that we give them, offer them? Is it counseling? Is it joint counseling? Is it further for their legal rights? When they are thrown out of marriage, when the children are taken away from them, what do Muslim women do? Today we don't have data. We only have newspaper articles that do not talk about the problem of Muslim domestic violence within Islamic societies. What we talk about instead, make the domestic violence a problem within the Quran, within the Islam, and then connect it to triple talaq. And we say If there is a uniform civil code, all problems of Muslim women will stop. These problems will not stop even there is a uniform civil code. So then why are we raising these issues? Why are we raising the problem of uniform civil code? Who is raising this problem? What is the political content of this issue are important questions. Which is there in the general society. Somebody mentioned in the first session on the Islamophobia. There is a general Islamophobia. There is also the right-wing political climate, which is against minorities. So there is a constant minority bashing that happens. And this can happen on many counts, but status of women is a very important factor where this happens. My question to you, my question to the Jamaat, my question to the organization GIO, when you have a large number of Muslim women, I don't think any research has been done, either in Darul Qazas or in general socio-economic status of Muslim women, that how much actually domestic violence is there, how much triple talaq is there, what are the issues affecting Muslim communities, what is the larger social milieu in which Muslims operate, what are the avenues of progress, what are the avenues of development, job opportunities, do Muslim women go out to work? These are very basic questions. And where we have lapsed as an organization working with the communities, working with young women, is we have not produced data. We have not produced hard facts. We have not produced counter numbers to say 25% of Muslim women who are married are working. Or Muslim women's poverty level, where are they situated? Sachar committee report came. After Sachar committee report, what happened? Where are we situated today? Where the government schemes have lacked for Muslim women, where they are not being able to access this. What have we done to help women to access these schemes? These data is not before us. What is the progress made in the last 20 years or 30 years? Where were Muslim women then as compared to the national scenario? What is the development that has happened today in the 30 years that because of the intervention of organizations like the Jamaat, like the GIO, we have made progress. We have helped Muslim women to assert their rights. We have helped Muslim women to secure jobs. We have helped Muslim women to stand on their own feet. We have empowered Muslim women as per Quranic values, as per Islamic traditions. This is where they are today, and progress is happening in the country. Progress is happening among Muslims in each state. If there was such a document, either produced by the board or by the Jamaat, which is far-reaching scope, much more than the small research done for 4,700 women. This came in April 2015. We had enough time. Reports were coming in the press about Muslim polygamy, about nikah halala, about triple talaq. And we were reading it in the newspapers. But we did not take it seriously. I knew this would go and escalate and come to the level that we are today. And I have been writing about it from that time. But nobody seems to have taken it really seriously. We were so caught up in our own internal management issues, we never had a wider perspective. And suddenly, today, when the issue is before the Supreme Court, we say, don't interfere with the Sharia. We say, don't change the Sharia. Board has collected signatures now as a counter strategy to the strategy which says 1 lakh Muslim women want triple talaq to be banned. They have written letter to the Prime Minister. What have we done? In the meantime, because we have the scope, we have the reach, which I don't have. I can take a Muslim woman to the court to enforce her rights. But I am not from the community. I don't have that reach. But we have the reach. particularly in Kerala, where the situation of Muslim women is very different from the situation of Muslim women in Uttar Pradesh or in Bihar or in Orissa. And we have the reach. We can do it. We can do it in Maharashtra. We can do it in Kerala. We can do it in each state, and we can have a comparative profile. Okay, this is happening in UP, this is happening in Bihar, this is happening in Maharashtra. Somehow, our academic research has been terribly lacking. We have not entered the realm of profiling the socio-economic and legal status of women. And that is why today what we are facing is because of that. Because even as Muslims or as Muslim women, we have not followed what is happening in the courts. We have not followed the developments that have happened in the courts. We are not aware of the Shamimara judgment. We are not aware of the Daniel Latifi judgment. What did this judgment say? In the Daniel Latifi judgment, board was an intervening party. What did we do after that? What awareness in the community did we create because of this? Because we are under a dual structure. We have the Quran, we have the board, we also have the court and the constitution. And we have to abide by both. We cannot say we are outside of the constitution. We cannot say we are outside of the court. Even today we are in the court. For many issues affecting the community, we are in the court. And we are in the constitution. And we are in the Quran. And we want to follow the Quran. We want to follow the message of the Quran. We want to follow our hadith. We want to follow our tradition and culture. How do we coincide this? In the wake of the Islamophobia that's happening, anti-minority agenda of the government that is happening, I feel somewhere the Islamic society is not prepared at all. I see huge organizations like yours who are organizing events like this, where a large number of Muslim girls are attending. I have attended meetings in Delhi. I have addressed meetings in Hyderabad. And I see a great number of women coming there. I see people like Asma Zehra, Mamina Khatun in Delhi. I meet a lot of very dynamic Muslim women. But what is happening? What is lacking? I see a lot of Islamic scholars who are experts of Islam and Quran, but also sociologists or economists. They're there. Why don't we not come together? Why don't we can we come on a platform? And I'm ready to help, and I've said it again and again, that whatever I can do as a lawyer, as somebody who understands court procedures. I'm very friendly with Uzma Nahid in Bombay. I know a lot of people, not now, from the last 20 years. I've addressed board meetings somewhere in 94, 95. But nothing further has happened at all. And only today I'm being invited. Because there is a problem, and somehow my writings are very important writings that people have now waken up and said, oh my God, this is happening to our community. This is happening in our courts. And we have to be alert. So my request to you is to make our women aware of their legal rights, to understand how we can reconcile Quran with the Constitution, with Article 14 and 15, and 25 and 26, and basically empower our women, make them aware of their rights, and create data so that it can be produced before the courts. Thank you so much. I didn't know I was supposed to give a lecture at the inauguration, but if you allow me to talk, then I don't know where to stop. So I think I better stop here, and I have another session in the afternoon. Thank you so much.